Well, and it looks like Mumia is on, so let me mute myself. Ideally, we can hear from him.
Okay, I think we're on. Mumia, can you speak?
I can.
Can you hear him?
Hello, you.
Peace, peace.
Hey.
Woohoo!
Hey. How y'all doing?
Peace,
Well,
Mumia.
you got questions. You better ask me right now before this damn thing blows up. So, go ahead.
We have a bunch of students here who've had an incredible conversation, and maybe they can speak to you directly.
Very well.
This is Nick from the Columbia Encampment. It's an honor to have you on here. Your message was so powerful when we played it at the encampment. I guess I'm just wondering if you have any words or of wisdom or advice for students going forward as we kind of think about the future and the future of our organizing work.
I would just say this, that it is I who am honored by how Columbia students have
This is a call from
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Mahanoy.
This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
have really politically analyzed the situation and proceeded to act with grace, class, and class consciousness. And by that I say many of the people who were charged refused to take deals unless those same deals were extended to the CUNY people, City University of New York people. And I know that Columbia is like premier university in New York, and that CUNY is really a working class university. So for Columbia radicals and students and protesters to take that position is just profoundly noble and human, just as the actual work protesting what can only be called a geographical violence in Gaza or genocide. That's a principled position. And you're responding to that as human beings, feeling and sharing with the suffering people of the occupied lands that we call Gaza, that we call Palestine. So keep on doing the work you're doing. I think, you know, you guys are walking along the right path of history, in my opinion. You're doing a great job.
Brother Mumia, may I ask a question?
Yes.
My name is Steph Reed. I'm a grad student at Union Theological Seminary. And in preparing for this moment, I read some of your work, including Message to the Movement. And that you talked about the importance of music in like social movements and like political struggle. My question for you is, in today's context, which is in some ways similar, right? And in other ways, it's different. I'm wondering your thoughts on the role of music, arts, culture, and spirituality in our current like political climate.
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution,
Well,
Mahanoy.
This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Yeah, could you speak more on that?
Different times require different musics, and different musics exist in different periods and rhythms of history. You know, during the Civil Rights Movement, the great Negro spirituals were plumbed and used and transformed during that movement. The Black Panther Party, a lot of people don't know this, but Black Panther Party during the Black Liberation Movement, they had their own band. They had a pop band, and the name of it was The Lumpin'. And they were fantastic. But what they did is they took the great hits of that period, changed the lyrics, and kind of radicalized it. And they were a great band. They had great musicians. They were great singers. And but not many people heard them because they were very rarely on radio or, you know, but they would perform for Black Panther functions, mostly in Cali, and they were fantastic. this is a new period. This is a new time, and it's a new technology. What that means, if you have access to music that you did not have, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. So you're going to be listening to different kinds of music, But every movement needs music to move people, right? To give them validation, but also to project the stories and the spirits of resistance that is sometimes encoded in music, So find what turns you on and turn that shit up.
Mumia, what did it feel like to speak to students at the encampments for you?
It was wonderful, wonderful. I felt something I haven't felt in a really, really good long time. I felt like these encampments and protests were a throwback to the '60s. That was a long time ago, right? But a throwback because back in the '60s, people were protesting against the Vietnam War, this great imperial war by the United States against a third world country. This is not that situation, but it's very similar because it is settler colonialism against an imprisoned people. People call Gaza an open air prison. Well, never is that clearer than here, where people cannot escape the F-18s, the bombs, the weapons of empire, really being lodged against what is essentially an unarmed people. Ain't no F-14s in Gaza flown by Gazans, right? Not that situation. It's an imperial power play. And so in that way it was similar. And I just felt a wonderful feeling of seeing students speak out against this kind of settler colonial violence. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I felt energized.
Hi, may I ask a question?
Please.
Hi, my name is Sophia. I'm a recent student with the MIT encampment. And again, just expressing so much gratitude that I was even able to kind of be in the space. It truly is an honor. One thing I've been kind of thinking about, and I think we talked a bit on the panel about the sustainability of these movements and, how we're all going to continue to organize beyond this moment. And as somebody who, you have participated and bear witness to, many of movements across, over the years. And, some movements, have their times when, there's kind of a flare up and, there's more attention towards it and there's a lot of energy. And then sometimes things die down and things flare up and they die down. And we kind of have the same sort of cycle that we've seen in the past. And so I'm wondering if you have any advice on how we can kind of think critically about how do we have sustainable movements, whether it's, fighting against co-optation, fighting against like new state tactics, or even just fighting against the natural ebb and flow of organizing that occurs if we're not being intentional about it.
Okay. What that takes is something that we do rarely see, except in rare occasions. And that's really to organize. And that means to talk about ideology, talk about how to resist, the tactics of the state. Think about Occupy. Some of you probably don't even remember Occupy Wall Street. I do. And what people have forgotten is that these people were attacked not just in the dead of night, but in the early hours of the morning when everybody was asleep. And the media turned off its cameras, and the police came in and beat people and intimidated people and ran them out. And that's because they were occupying the most powerful entity in America. Capital, Wall Street. So, you know, who works for Wall Street? Well, you know, the cops do. And they will use any tactic whatsoever to intimidate and break people one from another. But the antidote to those tactics is unity. Really talking with each other, listening to each other, and working to continue the unity of action that is rocking this country and, believe it or not, having repercussions around the world. People are studying this movement all around the world, not just eggheads like me and Dr. Fernandez. People are studying it because it's a moment of freedom amidst repression. So keep your voices loud, firm. Affirm your friendships with your comrades and brothers and sisters, and keep struggling, because you're doing something incredibly noble for people that cannot do it for themselves.
Okay, we should ask the last question because there's probably not enough time. Go ahead, Besan.
Okay. Hi, I'm Bisan. I was with the Penreza encampment, and it's an honor for you to come speak to us today. I'm gonna ask my question real fast. Is there any advice that you would give the students in the student movement, things on like what we can do better, or like where do you think where the student movement is going?
Well, because of your media, you know what? If Huey and Eldridge of the Black Panther Party had the social media that you had, we might have won. But because many of you are journalists, citizen journalists, and you have access to thousands and thousands of people, you have your own media. You cannot rely on the corporate media. You know this.
You have 1 minute left.
But you have your own. And that means using your ability to reach out and touch people and tell them the stories of your daily life, your daily work, so that people outside of the circle of students and grad students can learn and hear and support the work you're doing, because what you're doing is wonderful. I commend you all, whether you're at MIT, whether you're at Penn, whether you're at Columbia, whether you're at any university in America, and doing this kind of work. It will be difficult. It will be hard. It will be challenging. Sometimes it may be terrifying. But what you're doing is wonderful. Never doubt that. I commend all of you. I thank you for the work you're doing.
We commend you, Mumia. We love you so much.
Absolutely.
Love you.
Love you all. Love you
Thank
all.
you for
Thank
using
you for being there.
Securus. Goodbye.
Love you, brother.
We did it! Yay!
Amazing he came on at the right time.
Somehow it always
Always.
manages to do that, coming through in the clutch. So strong.
Thank you to all those who tuned in on YouTube, who asked questions, who showed love in the chat, who show up for Mumia in the streets, who show up for Palestine in the streets, and who will continue to do so. We are so grateful to have shared this space with these powerful student leaders who are going to continue to pave the path for liberation at home and liberation with our international solidarity struggles. We'll continue to keep Palestine on our heart. Thank you all so much.